The first sign that the human cadet was dangerous came when he apologized to the obstacle course, not to the instructors, not to the other cadets, to the wall. "Sorry," Eli Mercer said, patting the cracked training barrier with one hand. "I thought it was reinforced." Around him, the elite first-year class of Valor Military Academy stood in stunned silence. Valor accepted only the strongest candidates from 100-member worlds. Its cadets came from warrior moons, armored hive stations, ocean citadels, and noble fleets that had produced admirals for generations. They had talons, pressure skeletons, reflex crowns, venom sacs, thermal vision, and ancestral songs about honorable death. Eli had arrived with a duffel bag, 2 pairs of boots, and a packet of instant coffee his mother insisted was for emergencies. The Academy file described humans as cooperative, low aggression, socially adaptive, and physically unremarkable. The file was about to have a very bad semester. Instructor Vorun clicked across the training floor on 6 polished limbs, his carapace marked with the silver scars of old campaigns. He stared at the cracked barrier, then at Eli. "Cadet Mercer, explain." Eli looked mortified. "I was trying to climb it, sir." "You punched through it." "Only after I slipped." The class medic, a translucent being named Sale, hovered closer with a scanner. "Your hand is not fractured." "No, ma'am." "The wall is." "Yes, ma'am." Sael's inner organs pulsed with professional concern. "Does this happen often on Earth?" Eli considered lying, then remembered he was bad at it. "Depends on the wall." That afternoon, the Academy's Central Intelligence flagged the human file for review. By evening, it had opened a new category: unclear threat classification. The problem was not that Eli tried to frighten anyone. He did not. That made everything worse. He held doors. He shared snacks. He learned names carefully and mispronounced them with such sincere horror that even the proudest cadets corrected him kindly. He was, by all visible standards, friendly. But Valor had been built for species raised on gentler worlds. Its corridors held standard gravity, which meant slightly below the comfort range of most cadets, and barely noticeable to a human raised in Kansas storms. Its atmosphere was filtered and calm, with none of the pollen, microbes, mold, dust, smoke, humidity swings, and aggressive seasonal plants that Earth considered normal background conditions. Its meals were nutritionally balanced, low in toxin load, and free of anything that tried to fight back chemically. Eli described the food as kind of bland. 3 tables moved away from him after that. The first week brought endurance evaluation. Cadets were ordered to run the outer ring until their biometrics entered the yellow zone. The Academy record for a first year was 6 circuits, held by a Goran whose species evolved in desert war bands. Most cadets reached yellow by the 2nd circuit. Eli reached it on the 9th. Instructor Vorun assumed the sensors had failed. Sale attached 3 more monitors. Eli kept jogging. "Do humans not tire?" asked Cadet Rina, a feather-crested strategist from low-gravity Aulus. She was bent double, her lungs fluttering like paper fans. Eli slowed beside her. "We tire. I am tired." "Your heart rate is only mildly elevated." "I did cross-country in high school." The translator rendered this as voluntary distant suffering during adolescence. Rina stared at him with new fear. The second week brought environmental adaptation. The Academy rotated cadets through controlled heat, cold, pressure, glare, noise, and airborne irritants to prepare them for unpredictable battlefields. This was considered one of Valor's proudest tests. Eli treated it like unfortunate camping. In the cold chamber, he shivered, cursed politely, and kept functioning. In the heat chamber, he sweated enough to alarm 3 species that did not know bodies could leak that much on purpose. In the irritant chamber, he sneezed 18 times, wiped his eyes, and completed the puzzle lock while muttering, "Spring back home is worse." Sael reviewed the footage with increasing dread. His body loses water through the skin to cool itself, she told Vorun. I know what sweating is. He can continue doing this while moving, thinking, and communicating. Yes. That is grotesque. Vorun watched Eli help a wheezing classmate out of the chamber. It is tactically significant. The third week brought close quarters sparring. This was when the academy stopped whispering and began holding meetings. Eli had no claws, no armor, no venom, no visible natural weapon except blunt teeth and a habit of smiling when nervous. In paired drills, most cadets expected him to be quick but fragile. He was not quick by every species standard. He was dense. When Cadet Thas, a tall aquatic fighter in a support harness, tried to sweep Eli's legs, Eli shifted weight without thinking. Thas bounced off him and landed with a wet slap on the mat. Sorry, Eli said immediately. Thas blinked up from the floor. Why are you so heavy? Earth gravity, maybe? You are the size of a diplomatic aide. My grandmother says I am getting skinny. The next opponent attempted a shoulder strike. Eli absorbed it, stumbled one step, and caught her before she fell. Good hit, he said. She stared at the hand supporting her elbow. Your bones are internal structural beams. I mean, technically everyone's bones are structural. Mine are decorative compared to that. The Academy's rumor network ignited. Humans were not soft. Humans were compact pressure machines. Humans lived under crushing gravity wells, breathed storm air, drank microbe-rich water, healed from torn tissue, and had immune systems that treated poison as a debate. Humans lost teeth as children and grew replacements, a fact that caused one cadet to leave lunch early. Humans deliberately damaged muscle to make it return stronger. Humans called this exercise. By mid-semester, Eli had become a source of both terror and comfort. Cadets feared being assigned against him in physical drills, but they also wanted him nearby during emergencies. He could carry 2 people. He could open jammed doors. He could eat questionable rations. He could remain calm while alarms screamed because, in his words, it sounds like tornado season. Rinna, who had first asked if humans tired, became his closest friend. She was brilliant, fast, and physically delicate by Earth standards, though she hated that phrase. Eli never used it. He simply learned to move at her pace without making her feel slow. In return, Rinna taught him fleet geometry, signal discipline, and how not to insult a Veyron by accepting the first cup of tea. You are terrifying, she told him one evening in the strategy hall. Eli looked up from a simulation he was losing badly. I am currently being destroyed by your supply lines. Physically terrifying. Oh, but less stupid than I expected. Thank you. That was praise. I will treasure it. The real test came during the Academy's orbital field exercise. First years were transported to a training moon where they would navigate rough terrain, restore a disabled beacon, and defend it against simulated drones. The exercise had run for 80 years without serious incident. Then a meteor fragment, missed by the Academy's old defense net, struck the ridge above Team 7. The cliff collapsed. Dust swallowed the valley. Comms fractured into static. Gravity was lower than Earth's, but high enough that falling stone still killed. Rinna was thrown under a broken support frame. Thas's breathing harness cracked. 3 cadets panicked as the ground continued to slide. Eli hit the slope shoulder first, rolled, and came up bleeding from one eyebrow. For one heartbeat, everyone waited for orders from instructors who could not hear them. Then Eli moved. He did not roar. He did not become a legendary warrior. He became something older and more human, a person who saw others trapped and started lifting. He shoved a stone slab off Thas's harness, muscles shaking. He tore fabric from his own sleeve and sealed the crack the way Sale had taught them. He crawled under the support frame beside Rinna, braced his back against twisted metal, and pushed just enough for her to pull one wing free. Eli, she gasped, that will crush you. Not today, he said, though his voice trembled. The frame shifted. His breath punched out. Earth bones, earth muscle, earth stubbornness held for 3 seconds. Long enough. Rinna escaped. After that, command became natural. Not because Eli was strongest, though he was, because he used his strength like a tool passed around a room. He paired cadets by ability, not pride. He sent Rinna to climb where he could not fit. He asked Thas to map water channels beneath the dust. He had the smallest cadet crawl through a gap with a beacon wire because small is a superpower in vents. When rescue finally reached Team 7, the instructors found the beacon restored, the wounded stabilized, and Eli sitting with his back against a rock trying not to faint. Instructor Vorun stood over him. "Cadet Mercer." Eli opened one eye. "Sir." "You disobeyed the retreat protocol." "Yes, sir." "Why?" Eli looked at Rinna, at Thas, at the others gathered under emergency blankets. "Because they were still there." Vorun was silent for a long time. Then he placed one scarred limb over his chest, the Valor salute for battlefield respect. "Acceptable answer." The Academy Review Board met for 6 hours after the incident. They updated the human file with new physical data, expanded medical warnings, revised sparring restrictions, and an entire section titled Native Environmental Hardening. Sale argued for bold red lettering. Vorun insisted on one more line at the top. Human danger assessment must include protective instinct. The line became famous. Not because it warned the galaxy that humans were biological monsters, though many cadets repeated that phrase with nervous affection. Because it explained the contradiction. Earth had made humans durable, yes. Gravity had braided density into their bones. Weather had trained their nerves. Disease had sharpened their immune systems. Predators, disasters, hunger, distance, and loss had carved endurance into them generation by generation. But Earth had also taught them something stranger. On a world that could kill you in 1,000 ordinary ways, survival depended on carrying each other. At graduation, Eli Mercer did not win highest marks in tactics. Rinna did. He did not win precision flight. Thas did, after replacing his old harness with one Eli helped repair. Eli won the award no human had known existed, Anchor of the Cohort. When his name was called, the hall rose, talons struck metal, wings opened, fins flashed in ceremonial water. 100 species made 100 kinds of applause for the cadet they had once mistaken for soft. Eli walked across the stage carefully because Valor still had not replaced the cracked floor panel from his first week. Instructor Vorun handed him the medal. "Tell me, Lieutenant Mercer," he said quietly, "is every human like you?" Eli looked out at his friends. Rinna lifted one crest feather in challenge. Thas raised a repaired harness arm. Sale watched with the expression of a medic who had given up being surprised. "No, sir," Eli said. Vorun relaxed. Then Eli smiled. "Some of us are much tougher." Years later, incoming cadets would hear stories about the first human at Valor. They would exaggerate, of course. They would say he bent steel with his hands, outran drones, breathed poison, and wrestled gravity itself. The old instructors would let them talk. Then they would point to the Academy's central motto, newly engraved beneath the ancient one. Strength is not what a body can survive. Strength is who it refuses to leave behind. Thank you for staying through this Academy tale among the stars. If you enjoyed watching the galaxy discover what Earth quietly built into humanity, like and follow for more interstellar stories of courage, friendship, and the surprising weight of home.